Good morning, Maple Park. Today is Friday, November 7th, 2014.
Today's a B-Day. It's by popular demand that is Mrs. Scarrow with today's lunch menu.
Today for lunch we will be having Bosco's Super Pretzel, spicy chicken wings, and a biscuit, mixed greens, peas, and pineapple.
Thank you, Mr. Scarrow.
Next is Christian with a word about next week's dinner theater.
Next week is Maple Park Middle School's After Dinner Theater. The cast will be performing 45 minutes from Broadway, the book by Sherbert Finrich, the music lyrics by George M. Conhan. Performances are next Tuesday the 11th and Wednesday the 12th. Dessert will be served from 6:15 to 6:45 in the cafeteria, accompanied by our 6th grade choir performing at 6:30. The main performance will follow the auditorium at 7 p.m. Adult tickets will be $5 and school-age attendees will be charged $3.
Thank you, Christian. Up next is Officer Johnson with Cops.
Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Cops. Caitlin asked,
Kids being bad, can you use mace or tase on them like if the kid's in a fight?
well, that's an interesting question, Caitlin. While it's never my intent on injuring or harming anyone, as a sheriff's deputy, I do have items and techniques that I can use at my discretion to gain control of the situation. When I went through the academy, we were taught the force continuum. The force continuum are guidelines as to how much force may be used against an individual in a given situation. The guidelines are as follows. First, officer presence, meaning that most of the time when a police officer arrives on the scene, the conflict ends. Second is verbal. There are times when the police arrive and the situation continues. The officer uses verbal commands to end the conflict. Third, empty hand submission techniques. When the presence and verbal techniques are not effective, the officer may use PPCT, or pressure point control tactics. This means the officer may use pressure points on the body that inflicts pain to gain compliance. Fourth, intermediate weapons. Examples of these weapons are pepper spray, taser, beanbag rounds, and mace. The use of restraints or handcuffs may also be used to gain control. And fifth, lethal. As it sounds, this is deadly force. An officer arrives on the scene and observes the subject with a knife or gun, and the subject directs it towards the officer and then refuses to comply with the verbal commands to drop the weapon, or tries to grab the officer's handgun. The officer has the legal right to use deadly force to end the situation. And just so you're not confused, an officer doesn't need to start with the first technique and work their way down the continuum. This situation may require the officer to skip any of the steps, depending on the situation. So as you can tell, Caitlin, just because a student is out of control doesn't necessarily mean I'll mace or tase them. I hope this answers your question. So until next time, have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the next episode of Cops.
When they come for you, bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you? When you were 8 and you had back.
Thank you, Officer Johnson with Cops.
That does it for today's edition of Maple Park News. Remember to always be respectful, responsible, and do your personal best. Get out of here.
The attendance race got closer this week as less than 1% separated first and third place. For the second week in a row, 6th grade won the attendance award with an attendance rate of 94.86%. Right on their heels was 7th grade with an attendance rate of 94.76%. So close maybe next week, 7th graders, and repeating their 3rd place finish is 8th grade with 74.72% for the week of October 31st. With class will region supreme next week. Tune in to Maple Park News to find out.